We open the first scene on modern day Tokyo. Street level view, cars are driving by. We pan over to Tokyo U, and inside, your characters are in a strangely empty classroom. In front of you is Mr. Aizawa, a middle aged man. He's been your teacher for a long time. Some of you know him very well. He's a sociology and history teacher. He's basically the de facto head of sports at Tokyo U at the moment. Atla, you know him very well. As long as you've been boxing at this school, he's been there and he's been a huge help to you. Kind of like a fatherly figure. He's giving you a pre-lecture on the exam that's coming up, but you're not the only one in this room. There's also a fifth person, Ken Shiratori, class rep type figure, if you will. And Mr. Aizawa, he stands up and he's like, okay, it's going to be kind of a quiet affair. I think it's just going to be you and maybe 4 or 5 others taking the exam. We've had a lot of people quit recently. To be perfectly honest, I'm probably not going to be working here much longer, but I will be here until the end of the semester. So, Carter, are you familiar with the grounds yet? How long have you been around here?
Only a few days.
You know what you're going to be studying?
He studied a little bit, but he's still not confident he's going to completely pass. He's a bit of a slacker.
But we have the exam in 2 weeks. So I know that sounds a little harsh, but now would be the time to step up. Miss Mono, are you listening at all?
Yes, I am.
What's the test on?
Oh god, I had a brain fart.
70s, 80s counterculture history. Try your best to remember that these first few exams are probably going to be the most important. Take it from someone who's actually worked in the field for about 20 to 30 years. I can tell you, if you don't pass these within the first at least 2 tries, you can kiss an entire career goodbye in this country. It's a competitive career in Japan, especially with all the people here now. Tatsuya.
Yes, teacher?
Okay, so you're going to pass this test with flying colors, clearly.
Why, thank you, sir.
All right, well, I'm going to get going. I will see some of you later. And he walks out of the room and he kind of gives Ken a little nod. And Ken has been writing this entire time. So now that the sort of pre-lecture talk is over, the 4 of you actually have something to do today. You have all been invited by your former professor, Professor Yajima. He's a brilliant scientist. He has been one of Japan's leading minds on genetics for almost 20 years now, although he has not been famous in any capacity. And he was pretty inspirational to the rest of you, because without his inspiration, you might have just dropped out. Especially for foreigners, it's not easy to be a foreigner in Japan right now, or to look like a foreigner, because for the last 10 years or so, Japan has been opening its borders. The Tokyo U is, some would say, almost overrun by foreign students or students abroad with Japanese roots that are coming here to study. And it probably has something to do with the fact that America is building more military bases on Japanese soil, and it's causing all eyes to be on Japan. So, you guys have about 5 or 7 minutes. Atla, you have a boxing match tomorrow night. How's Atla feeling about that?
Really excited, but he also just got called out for not knowing what was going on.
And Mr. Aizawa he's pretty much your boxing coach. There's no excuse here. So Tatsuya, it's very obvious that Mr. Aizawa is telling you you're gonna fail.
It's not that he didn't study, it's just that he didn't really focus so much.
Is Tatsuya a history-minded person, or is he more of a living in the moment kind of guy?
It's more of a living in the moment type of person, but he does wanna step it up in his studies. It's kind of hard.
The problem there is that this is basically a history test. We know Aki's a martial artist, so she's much like Atla. She does devote herself to physical training, but probably not to the extent that it distracts her from her studies. So you are pretty much all as ready as you're going to be. And suddenly Ken gets up. He pushes his glasses up. Ken's about as Japanese as they come. Straight-laced a lot of the time. Or at least he comes across that way. But he's not a bad guy. But you all have an appointment. You're going to meet Professor Yajima. He has a lab supposedly in the science department. But before you go, you've decided to meet Ellie at the cafe. She's another friend of yours. You've pretty much all, at some point, been to the cafe, met her. She's sort of the chill, not a big sister type, I'd say, but more of a friend, supportive figure who's always there. She's actually a total foreigner, and she's a British student who graduated before, but now she works at the cafe full time. So, as you're leaving the classroom, you begin walking towards the cafe. You enter the cafe, and there's televisions above. There's televisions above the bar area. They don't actually sell alcohol. This is a university, kind of like a Starbucks. Ellie's at the counter. She's just wiping the bar down. Ellie, you see your friends walk in.
Because she's focused on the cleaning at the moment, she kind of waves them over, but she doesn't say anything just yet.
All of you, you're looking at the TVs, and you notice that there's a news story about a protest downtown against the building of a new American military base on Japanese soil, which is obviously not something that a lot of young Japanese people are big fan, or young American people, to be honest. Despite the fact that Japan is very conservative in its nature, uniquely, Japan has preserved the 60s, 70s, and 80s counterculture movement. The sort of free love, anti-government sentiment is still very much alive. There's a lot of people here coming out of the woodwork who were all for that, Greenpeace stuff in the 70s, but now they're seeing an opportunity to sort of get their wacky hippie politics out there, or just to sit around and play guitar and sing. You get some people, some Japanese guitarists dressed up like Bob Dylan sitting around the protest. It's all a little bit cringy because you're like, oh geez, what is this? But right up next is an interview with Celia, a very famous pop star. She started as a YouTuber. Tatsuya, you got a huge crush on Celia.
Oh god. Aki's going to be fucking jealous.
She's on stage and she's got a microphone. Someone interviewing her, but she's in her stage attire. She's got like this bright blue hair. She's in that sort of anime girl pop idol getup. Unlike a traditional idol figure, she's very down to earth. She's always been very much anti-war, very much of a calming presence. Yeah, you've just had this huge crush on her for a long time. In fact, you actually were one of her early fans back when she was on YouTube.
First 100 subscribers.
First 100 subscribers, yeah. So, you guys all sit down. Ellie, you know full well what they like. They don't even have to order. Is Ellie, would you say, kind of overworked at the moment, or is she kind of like happy to see her friends?
Oh no, she's happy to see them. Like it's been kind of a bit of a slow day today, and like she's happy to have some company.
There's actually two other people in the cafe with you. One of them is a girl, long black hair, glasses. Her name is Kirishima. She's well known for being very quiet, but one of the greatest artists the school has ever produced. And she's actually oil painting in the corner. And next to her is her friend. His name is Fuji Onoki, or just Fuji for short. Yes, like Mount Fuji. And just like the mountain, Fuji is enormous. He's just like a muscle-bound man. It's well known that as soon as he's done school, he's going to immediately take up a sumo wrestling career. He's kind of the one guy you don't mess with. Ellie, you're pouring the coffees. The TV is muted. You hear this muffled talking in your ear, and you're not really paying attention. Then suddenly, I'm talking to you. Someone grabs the coffee and just throws it, splashes the coffee on the floor to get your attention. I said, turn it up. And you look up and you see 4 thuggish-looking young Japanese men. The leader of this little pack is right up in your face. You're very obviously a foreigner through and through, and he feels he can talk to you however he wants. He's telling you to turn the television up, that he wants to hear Celia.
Atlas stands up and death glares this guy. Like, I'm about to fight you if you don't quit your shit.
Aki would also get up from her chair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm imagining her cracking her knuckles.
Oh yeah, she's just cracking her knuckles, ready to punch them into submission.
The leader, who was kind of yelling at Ellie, turns his attention to Aki. He'll go up to you, like, stand up for your girlfriend, are ya?
Atla just turns, looks at this man, and then grabs the back of his head and slams it to the fucking table.
Tatsuya was about to get up, but then he sits right back down after that happened.
Yeah, and Aki just starts going wail on them.
Yeah, Aki. After Atlas smashes his face into the table, you basically catch his head as he tries to get up and smashes into the table again.
And I want to deal with the main. I want to deal with the boss because holy fuck, this man is just fucked up.
The others are like, "Holy crap!" Like this is like they were not expecting anyone to fight back. Yeah, they're not used to this. One of them's got a baseball bat, kind of like leaning back on it, like an accessory. He didn't intend to fight with it, but suddenly he looks like he's going to fight with it.
Atla walks up, grabs the baseball bat, and just throws it. Like snatches it out of his hand and throws it like across the restaurant.
Yeah, the bat goes flying and smashes the window.
I said, I'm sorry, Ellie. I did not mean to do that. I meant to throw it into a table. And then I just clock him.
And Ellie, you're just thinking, oh god, I'm gonna get fired for this, right?
It's like when the attention was taken off of her by the others, she went out from behind the counter and just started cleaning up the spilt coffee. And now that she's seen the window be smashed and the fight that's broken out, she's regretting her life choices.
Tetsuya raises his finger up and he's just like, "Yeah, I'll pay for that."
Atlas got one guy by the wrist. Aki is brutalizing another. And the remaining two see their leader in danger and they pull out switchblades.
What the fuck?
But right before anything can happen, they kind of back up for a second and they stop and they turn around and they realize that Fuji is standing right behind them, staring daggers down at them. He looks down and he says, "Did you just pull knives on an unarmed woman?" They look up and they are terrified. Aki could probably beat them up. Atla could probably beat them up. But Fuji could probably snap them in half. He's literally twice the size of everyone in this room.
I said, can I just fist bump Fuji while he's right there? Like, hey, thanks for the save. This was about to get ugly and these two were about to lose something.
He doesn't react.
Damn.
He takes a step to the side and sort of like he motions time for you to leave. They run. And Ellie, your cafe is in shambles.
The only thought running through her mind at the moment is, I am so fired.
Well, Atla just starts helping to clean up. Like, I'm sorry for that this happened, but they do not get to threaten you. He just starts cleaning up the mess that he, Aki, and the others have made.
It pretty much goes, the way you'd expect. It goes well enough. You're able to clean it a little bit up, but there's broken glass and stuff. Yeah, there's no fixing that window. It's gonna have to be replaced.
Like, she's gonna try and clean up, but she doesn't expect to be able to keep her job.
Yeah, this whole time, Kirishima has not stopped painting. Watching Fuji, sort of be the peacemaker there, kind of was the reason she didn't feel the need to run. But she did she did have a little bit of a snicker. What was Tatsuya doing this whole time?
He just got up and muttered, "Why do you have to be so physical about it? Jesus Christ!" But he's also helping clean it up.
Because Tatsuya is not a fighter, is he?
Yeah, not exactly. No.
Sticking around would probably be suboptimal for the group, so now would probably be a very good kind of time to go visit Professor Yajima. So yeah, the group is heading out the door, and Atla, you feel a hand on your shoulder. It's Professor Aizawa. He looks at you and says, "We need to talk." He looks at the rest of you, and he just sort of gives a nod, like you can go. He'll catch up. He doesn't seem to know about what just happened at the cafe. He's concerned about what's going on with you in boxing and how it's affecting your grades. And he looks at you and he says, "You're walking a very thin line, Atla. I know how hard you want to be a professional boxer, but if it prevents you from passing this test."
I'm trying to manage both, but when things get too cluttered together, it gets incredibly difficult.
I need to know that you're committed to your education first. I understand you're under a lot of stress. I know you have a match tomorrow night and you're thinking about that. But when that match is over, you and I need to seriously talk about your grades. I do not want to see someone with your potential being wasted. He nods over to the direction your group is going and says, "All right, you'll probably want to catch up with your friends." While this is going on, the others have reached the science department. You took the elevator up, but Professor Yajima doesn't actually have a nameplate anywhere. No one knows where his lab is. In fact, when you ask, the people working there seem to think, well, I thought he left. They say that Professor Yajima hasn't worked here for years. And you know full well that he is here because he sent you an invitation. All of you received an email weeks ago telling you to come here on this day. He actually gave you each a small key. And there's really nowhere else to go but back to the elevator. The rest of you pile back into the elevator. You notice something you didn't notice before. There's a panel, and it's kind of hanging open slightly. And does anyone want to actually try to, like...
Tatsuya. He immediately tries to open it.
Tatsuya is going to immediately try to open that just to mess with it. He opens it, and he notices something that he was not expecting. 4 small keyholes.
Guys, I found a Indiana Jones type shit. Either I am blind or we should put these keys in the keyholes. Didn't we all get keys, right, everyone?
You've all been kind of staring at these keyholes and thinking, all right, in for a penny. So you all put the keys in and turn them. A red light appears above the keyholes and blinks on. And you start going down. And you keep going down and you keep going down. Finally, the elevator stops and the door opens. In front of you is a hallway with a strange blue glow at the end coming out of some of the doorways. And there's the sound of shuffling papers. There's also a sound like almost like a dog, just like tapping its feet on something. You hear a voice you don't recognize saying, "Don't touch that. Get out of there. Can you just sit still for 5 minutes?" As you're wandering down this hallway, it opens into this large room. You have arrived in a laboratory, a little messier than your average school lab. Shuffling through papers is a young man in a lab coat. You can see this wave of relief on his face. Oh, thank God. He gets up, he walks up to you, he grabs each of you by the hand and shakes it vigorously. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. He takes a little yoga pose. He's like, okay, let me explain. And then you see a robotic grasshopper jump out from behind a computer monitor onto the edge of a desk and knock over a bunch of papers. Ah, God damn it! Yeah, I don't worry about that. And he sort of like pushes it. He slowly pushes it back to the edge, away from the edge of the table. He's like, I told you to sit still. I told you to sit still. Why do you do this to me? Okay, I'm Jamie. I'm Professor Yajima's confidant for about 15 years now. He is currently unavailable. I don't suppose you would know where he is. And he kind of like, as none of you seem to react, his eyes just kind of glaze over, and they're like, "Oh God."
Is that a robot grasshopper?
Yes, yes, it is. I don't know where the professor is. He doesn't tell me nearly enough.
And that's reassuring.
That doesn't matter because you're here now. And I have something very important to speak to you. To speak with, well, to show you. Well, he walks up to one of the many monitors. I need you to take a look at this. He taps a button, and it opens to his desktop image. Professor Yajima lying nude on a couch.
Oh, what the fuck?
In like a glamour shot. He looks at you and he says, "This is what we've been working on for the last..." And then he hits another button and some graphs and charts show up. He's like, "Don't worry about that.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. What the hell?
Research. Important research. Well, we have been working on something, but unfortunately, we can't go public with it just yet, or ever. But I'd like you to take a look at this." He directs you over to a large screen. On that screen is a massive genetic database of several 100,000 insects. The screen is like almost the size of a large bay window. It's a massive computer screen. Your eyes are all directed to this screen. As you're watching, he's standing behind you and he's talking about, "We have had exhaustive research on genetic adaptation and rapid mutations, and as he's talking, you all feel a tiny little prick on the back of your necks. He has been taking a small blood sample from all of you. I'm sorry. Better to ask for forgiveness than permission." He takes each one of your blood samples and plugs it into a small device next to one of his monitors and hits a few buttons. You see, roughly 18% of the population, and then he stops talking and he looks at some readouts and he's just staring at the screen. He looks back at you, back at the screen. He's like, "I knew it. Just take a look at this." And he shows you the monitor, and it's just a bunch of numbers you couldn't possibly understand. He's like, "Exciting, isn't it?" Atla, you're kind of late. You're hoping they didn't do anything too important without you. But before you can actually reach the building, you hear screaming. You hear screaming and a harsh buzzing sound. You can see people running from around a corner. And out from behind the corner comes a large, man-sized cicada monster.
Oh no.
He's carrying an unconscious student that he hurls towards Atla.
I'm gonna catch this kid.
You catch him in your arms just at the last possible moment before he hits the ground. You dive to catch him. He's already unconscious and he's probably already very, very badly hurt. You can feel he's got some broken ribs.
So I rush him behind a pillar and set him down to try and keep him safe.
The cicada monster is standing over you. You can also hear more screaming and more creatures' footsteps approaching from other directions. As you're running to put the guy away to safety, just as you place him down, you can see a female monster, a woman's body shaped like a spider. As you're standing up, you feel a large snake-like limb wrap around your neck, and it's a scorpion tail. You are pulled back onto your back, and you can see a large scorpion monster standing over you. The other two seem to start walking away to go terrorize the other students, as this scorpion man has clearly claimed you as his prey.
Am I allowed to try and physically break off this motherfucker's stinger?
Oh yeah, you can try. Go ahead. And you succeed. You are able to rip his tail off.
I then use this tail as like a karambit and then strike him in the chest.
He lifts up his arm and catches your wrist, and he breaks your wrist and tosses you aside.
Fucking hell.
As this happens, you can see his tail growing back. We cut back to the lab. As Jamie is showing you the monitor, he's like, exciting, isn't it? And then, alarm lights go off, and he's like, oh, that's not good. And several video feeds pop up on many of the monitors showing the battles going on outside with the monsters, people running, people getting, attacked, smashed into walls. And one of them shows Atla fighting this scorpion man. He's just one man. He can't hold out forever. So you guys are seeing your friend fighting a giant scorpion man. How does Aki react to seeing the video feed of giant scorpion attacking Atla?
Jamie, is there anything I can do to help him? Do you have any equipment that can help me?
What? He goes behind his desk, and there's a metal pipe that was clearly pulled off of some machine. Here you go. This should do the trick. I'll be here, in safety.
At least it's better than nothing. And Aki just springs out of the entire laboratory to outside where the spider person is.
The grasshopper robot is still there. It jumps into Carter's arms.
Hey, the grasshopper likes you.
It's actually about the size of a cat.
Why is it looking at me like this?
As Aki and Tatsuya are to the elevator, he actually puts his hand on your shoulder. You can tell he's kind of waiting for them to leave earshot. I can tell you're not much of a fighter. You're not like them.
No, but I can feel you're hiding something.
Of course I'm hiding something. I hide things from everybody. But that's not important right now. You see that, right? They don't stand a chance. You know. You stay here, they'll die. He pulls out a capsule. It's actually about the size of a lighter. It's shaped like a pill. And on the pill, a picture of a grasshopper. This is what can help you. He walks forward. He throws it into your hand.
I catch it.
And while you're distracted, you feel something press against your belt and wrap around your waist. You look down. There's a strange, mechanical device attached where your belt buckle should be. Don't worry about it. I know you're upset. Just relax. But I need something from you very badly. Those people need to be helped. This technology needs to see the light of day. If you don't help those people, they will die. And if this technology can't find a use, my career is over. And he looks at us and says, Yajimu would want the same. Trust me. Go out there and use this and fight. All you have to do is protect those people. It's a weapon, and a powerful one. I helped build it myself. I should know. Trust me, there's only about maybe to 12% chance of catastrophic. You know what? Don't worry about it. Just get out there, do me proud. Oh, that's Robata, by the way. And the little grasshopper kind of beeps and does a little shimmy, sort of to show that he's kind of happy. Aki, you find yourself running towards the group of monsters that are attacking the students. The spider is strangling someone with a web, and the cicada is holding two students up against the wall, choking them with his hands.
I would probably go after the spider first.
So you're rushing towards that spider as it's strangling those two students. Before you can strike, it turns to see you, with its free hand, it swipes towards you. It tries to deflect, but you swung so hard that you actually broke its arm off. 2 of its arms are like on the ground now, green goo spilling out from where the severed arm stumps are, and the spider is clearly in pain. It's got 6 more arms though, so it can afford to lose a few. Ellie, you have left your cafe in the chaos to see that monsters are attacking people. Giant humanoid bug monsters are rampaging around the campus and attacking students. And Ellie and Tatsuya, probably your best bet is to just help get people out of here.
Her reaction is basically a blue screen for a moment. Like she does not know what the hell's going on. She is freaking out. But like she kind of catches herself, and she just starts to get people out of there as fast as she can.
And Tatsuya, you're seeing this happen.
Since he doesn't really want to trade blows with a giant arachnid, he's trying to get the people around the area like out of there if they're not already running away.
Now, the spider reacts to having its arms torn off by the attack by immediately using 2 of its remaining limbs to spray Aki with webbing. You can see the attack coming, and your instincts tell you to dodge, but it's just too fast. And a spray of spider web hits you, and before you know what's happening, you're on the ground with one of your arms webbed to the ground, and you're fighting to sort of try to free yourself. Maybe if you had a full minute, you could wrench yourself free, but it's really bad. The spider sort of holds its arms in pain as they begin to regenerate. Atla's doing even worse. You started this fight by clotheslining the guy and getting a few good jabs in with your offhand, but that broken wrist, that is not doing you any favors. Without the ability to toss a full flurry of punches, your offensive options are very limited, and your footwork only goes so far when the guy has a scorpion tail and a stinger.
I imagine this is something that Atla would have tried at one point. He's going to try and wrap his foot up in the scorpion's tail and use the leverage of it to not only bring the scorpion down that way, but then use his other leg to kick him in the face.
So he goes into a spin and whips his tail towards you, and you try something that you've only seen once before, probably in a Bruce Lee movie, but you're like, hey, now or never. So you lift your leg up, the tail wraps around your leg, you pull backwards and go into a rolling Sobot like Guile from Street Fighter and hit him right in the gut. He tumbles down.
I cannot believe that worked.
But rather than stay down, he pops back up immediately. And he immediately stings you with his scorpion tail while you're distracted. He hits you right in the thigh. Yeah. You can't feel your legs anymore, but Carter is running towards the scene with a strange device around his waist. Jamie's behind him. He stops behind Carter. All right, it's now or never. The little robot looks at the monsters, looks up at Carter. It looks like it's going to run towards the monsters, and then it sort of does a jump in the air, flips, and it kicks the grasshopper capsule into your hands. And Jamie sort of like silently mimes to you how to place the capsule into the slot in the device.
Stand by.
And a burst of hot wind rises up from your feet. You're surrounded by a green glow, and the light causes the monsters to stop and look at you. Around your body forms a green, translucent image of a giant grasshopper. Now pull that lever on the right side. There was a word. Yajima had an access code for this thing. What was it? Hershey, Helios,
Engine!
The translucent image shatters into millions of tiny green glass-like shards, which then immediately magnetize to your body, locking into place and forming an almost glass-like green layer over your body, which then coalesces, forming a suit and what looks like armor up to your neck, until finally the last pieces form a helmet around your head with bug-like eye lenses.
What the hell did I just turn into?
I'm going to assume that Atla is passed out by now.
Like, Atla's awake and aware, but he can't move. His vision is fading, but he definitely saw that. Jamie sees this and he's like, yes, it worked. I mean, of course it works. Carter, you can feel this surge of power in your body. Like your muscles are being supercharged. The scorpion monster looks towards you and begins walking towards Carter.
Can I run toward it? Punch its chest with both of my fists.
Its tail surges towards you, so you see the attack coming a mile away and just very slightly shift your weight to the side to avoid it. It just barely passes by the side of your head as you rush forward to do a double-fisted punch, like one of those kung fu power punches right into the middle of its chest. The impact causes a shockwave so intense that some of the flowers and the stuff nearby actually like bend from the wind pressure, and there's a crack in the pavement beneath the scorpion man. And he immediately vomits up this green sludge. He stumbles back in agony, holds with one hand, holds his mouth with the other, and his tail is spasming. He's lost control of the lower half of his body, and he falls to one knee. The cicada takes flight and begins, flying off, sort of a quick retreat. And the spider kind of does the same. It looks back at what's going on here, and she appears to begin shooting a web at the roof of the building and swings away. They are clearly retreating, but the scorpion is determined to keep on fighting. It reacts to your attack by standing back up and taking one of its claws and going for a swipe right at your face. You're able to dodge the attack with zero effort counterattack.
In the face.
All right, you go for a roundhouse kick, and it hits it so hard that its neck kind of snaps to the side, and the scorpion goes flying. It flies across the ground, hits the ground, rolls, keeps rolling, goes through a signpost into a concrete barrier, which cracks upon impact. It's still trying to get back up, but it's very obviously out of its depth. It locks eyes with you. It sort of cracks its neck back into place. And then it looks like it's about to throw something up. But then it doesn't. And then it stumbles back onto its feet, back into a stable foot stance, and runs right at you, full tilt, ready to attack. And Jamie is in the background. He's like, "The lever! Hit the lever again!" All right, you grab the lever and push it forward again, just like when you transformed. You can see this electrical energy surging across the driver, around your belt, and into your body, and you hear a computerized voice call out "overcharge," and you can feel a surge of power. Both feet are now overflowing with energy, and Jamie is like, "Finish it off! You've got one shot."
I widen my stance before running towards the scorpion, jumping up and going to rider kick him in the chest.
And the impact is so intense that you feel that same hot wind past your face. The windows behind the monster on the wall shatter. His feet are skidding backward from the impact until you rip through his upper body and land behind him, coming to a skidding halt on your feet with a low stance. As you look back, you see the entire upper body of the scorpion is gone. You smashed it. And his lower body, in just broken shambles, begins to bloat up, glow, and explode. The heat from the explosion ripples across the whole area. Everyone can feel it. Everyone can hear. Everyone is just completely stunned. They have no idea what they just saw. Jamie is running up to you like, "Yes! Finally! I knew it would work." And then he runs to the driver. A bit of a power overload there. I'll have that fixed soon, but for now we'll just. And then he takes the lever and pushes it backwards, causing the armor on your body to disconnect and fall away, turning into almost like a dust in the wind as it blows away. He pulls the driver off, and he was like, "Oh, just needs a few tweaks. Be ready for prime time." Good job, Kevin. Carter, whatever. All right, Calvin. You're a great assistant. We should do this again sometime, hopefully with less murder. And then he looks around and oh, I'm sorry. And he runs over to Atla and he's like, "Oh, I'm really sorry about that. I should have done this first." And he's like injecting you with like anti-venom.
Yeah, it's just fuck you for forgetting me. It's like I could have died.
And you're like barely able to lift your head up from like the paralysis.
Yeah. What about Aki?
So Aki, you're just about to free yourself from the webs. Right now, Atla is the one that's the most injured. One of his wrists is broken. He's got some missing teeth from the hits he took to the head. As you're all standing around, just kind of like barely able to process what's just happened, you hear police sirens in the background. Jamie grabs the driver and hides it in his lab coat, and he's like, "I will see you later. I have work, stuff to do."